All right, so this is our first of several recordings on history. We're going to start with early history. And this one, it just has some examples of what we know about humans and animal behavior. And so here we have some cave and wall paintings. And what we know is they're not just static paintings or drawings of uh, animals standing. It's typically some behavior. So on the left we have some white antelopes, and what they're doing is actually a lateral intimidation um, behavior, and we're going to talk about that. And so antelope will do this, and deer will do this, and so we'll talk about those behaviors and why animals would actually do something like that. And then on the right, we can see what looks like a herd of animals moving in a certain direction and how they are responding to each other. So early on, humans realized the importance of animal behavior. Here is some jewelry found in Crete, and they suggest that the people actually had a understanding of wasp behavior. And here's one wasp, and then there's the other, and this would actually be a mating behavior. And so very detailed in this jewelry. Some of the early writings, 1700 BC, what's called the Edwin Smith Papyrus. There's actually 4 papyruses that survive, and there's a picture of it on the bottom right. And what they have found that within this one, there is some scientific approach to brain injury. Supposedly within this papyrus, there are 48 cases of injuries discussed. And this is the hieroglyph for brain, and it appears 8 times. And so head injury and how that has changed human behavior. So very early on. Aristotle, a philosopher and also an anatomist, 340 BC, wrote 10 volumes of Historia Animalium. And within those volumes, you actually see some of the behaviors we're going to talk about. Mutualism, where you work together for a common cause. Tool use seen in animals. We've always often early on used that as one of our uniqueness. And now we know that animals like chimpanzees, it turns out birds, ravens also use tools. And then brood parasitism. It turns out there are some animals that actually leave their babies in to be taken care of by another individual. And you saw that in the first video, that small bird feeding the large bird. That is actually a small vireo feeding a brown-headed cowbird. They are nest parasites, and we will talk about that. So early on, these people were noticing these behaviors. And then Native Americans, they're in Southeast Texas. There's a place called Bonfire, and there's evidence of a mass killing of American bison. And 12,000 years ago, they were actually run off. They stampeded the bison off the cliff, and that way they could actually use the bodies and the hides for food and clothing. So early on, animal behavior has become very, very important. So we will stop the recording for this one.